Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon on this snowy but beautiful day. After all, it is the day that God has made, so let us rejoice and be glad in it. We're thrilled to have you here today. You know, this is just one of a number of cultural events that we do here at Mount Sinai every year. We have an annual quilt show that shows off amazing art from quilters both in the congregation and in the community. We do some annual concerts outside during the summer. We're going to be premiering a brand new original musical called When God Looks You in the Eye next summer. We, of course, have our holiday fair next November. Don't miss it. Great place to shop for your holiday gifts. And, of course, we worship here 10 a.m. on Sundays. We would welcome any and all of you to join us. And also, we have taken, during the last Sunday of every month, including tomorrow, we do an alternate form of worship. We do some more contemplative worship. Often we worship God by talking and singing, and those are great things to do. But we can also worship God by listening as well. So please do join us for any and all of the above. Now, those of you who were here last year, you don't need any words from me to tell you how amazing Dr. Michael Kearney is. But for those of you who weren't here last year, oh my goodness, you're in for a treat. And so, without any further ado, Dr. Kearney, are you ready to take the chancellery and the organ?
time. It's wonderful. It's such an honor to be here. And again, for those of you who've seen last year, thank you so much for coming back. And maybe you brought a friend, or maybe you're here for the first time, and that's wonderful too. I sort of thought, let me tell you about the whole program in one shot so that I don't ramble. Because if I ramble between pieces, we won't get out of here. I am... if you were here last year, you heard what the organ could do. You might not believe me if I tell you that the organ is so much better than it was last year at this time. We have Dan to thank for that. Got to meet him as I was getting ready for this concert. I was so impressed by his thoughtfulness, his thoroughness, and for helping this congregation continue their musical worship. So you may be wondering, well, what still needs to be done? Well, organs need a lot of upkeep just on a regular basis, right? And he's still continuing to work on things and keep things in tip-top shape. And so this is still a benefit concert for the organ, but it is also just a celebration of many wonderful things that we can look back on this year, and also as we look forward to a new year. I've entitled it Strength for the Journey. I've been thinking a lot about the book of Hebrews, actually. As I was putting this together, you'll see there are passages from the book of Hebrews that are kind of interspersed through this program. I don't know what you think of as you think back on this year. I think of a lot of wonderful things. I think back on a lot of great memories, and I also think back on some losses. I've lost some family members, maybe you have as well. There have been difficult things and hard things as well. And when you look forward to a new year, there's always uncertainty as well. And so I've always thought that this sort of period between Christmas and New Year's is kind of a season of trying to take stock. Not just because I'm thinking about, I've got to get all my tax stuff together, right? But also because of thinking about why do we mark off these seasons, these years, right? What can we remember about that? I have just a little story for you about Jan Mulder, whose piece I just played, Fantasy and Toccata on Angels from the Realms of Glory. Jan Mulder is a Dutch musician. He began his career as an organist, and he then went on he studied both piano and organ in conservatory, and he actually went on to have an incredible career as a concert pianist. You might have actually seen him on PBS. He performs with people like Andrea Bocelli, and he performs with this big orchestra, performs in the Royal Albert Hall in London, and is well known for these kinds of arrangements of beloved hymns and tunes and things like that. I got an email from Jan Mulder. He said, "You play the music of my uncle." And I'm really grateful for that. So if you look at the end of the program, there's the last piece on the program, Klaas Jan Mulder. Same last name, Klaas Jan. Very, very famous 20th century Dutch organist. And Klaas Jan Mulder had the opposite story. He went to conservatory for piano, and then he came from a very conservative group and did not want to perform on Sundays. And so he actually did not become a concert pianist, but became an organist instead, concert organist, perform on all the other days of the week. And then he also directed choirs and was a fantastic improviser. So you have this nephew and his uncle kind of connected in this program. And Jan Mulder said to me, I used to be the registrar, basically how my wife Rachel's helping me today. If you imagine in Europe, a lot of these organs, they don't have these kinds of little tabs where you just sort of flip a little light switch and then something changes with the organ. They have these big sort of doorknob-shaped things, and there's like a whole wall of them on either side. And so you need at least one, maybe even two people to help you pull all these things out. And there's no electronics on them to sort of help you either. So he said, I was the registrant for my uncle, and I watched him give concerts. And so I emailed him back, and I said, this is such a special note to get. I said, what did you learn from all those years of helping your uncle? And he said a couple things. One is, don't play too loud all the time. Another thing is, you have to feel the music, and it has to be something that you enjoy and that you help your audience to enjoy. And then the third thing that he said was, even when my uncle was so famous that he was getting requests from churches all over the country in the Netherlands, he would still go to some little village church, right, and give a little concert for whoever had asked him, because he said this is so important to be able to share the gift that God has given with others. And I think that's true of all of us in some way. God has given us a gift, and we are able in some way, whether that's small or whether that's big, to share that with others. So I share that just because, sometimes you pick a piece for a program just because it's a great piece, and this was a great piece, but it's also got a little bit of a personal connection, which is wonderful too. We go on to a Schiacona by Dietrich Buxtehude, who is one of the most famous German Baroque composers. And a Schiacona is kind of, if you can think of a dance and then add the word solemn to describe that dance, it's a very stately, sort of slow dance. And it feels to me kind of like a reflection on, it's the same bass line over and over again. So you sort of get these variations on a theme almost. Two very famous parts of the Messiah by Handel, which you, of course, you will know. I've arranged them for organ. A Fantasia by Johann Sebastian Bach, which is one of the saddest pieces that I have ever heard by Bach. And I think that somehow it has this motif at the end of it. People who are more expert on Bach than I am would tell you that it has to do with bells, and oftentimes it's something that he sort of used to portray death. And so I think there's a kind of sort of saying goodbye to a loved one that somehow, I don't know, it just feels like it's present in this piece. And there is a fugue which I'm not going to play. Interestingly enough, he did not live to finish the fugue. He wrote the Fantasia part, and he did not live to complete the fugue. So I'll just play the Fantasia part. Then another famous piece, although not famous because of organ concerts. I bet you've all been at a graduation ceremony where you heard Pomp and Circumstance. Maybe you've not heard anything but that sort of march in the middle. It's a great piece, and we usually only hear that little bit over and over and over again, right? But this piece kind of makes me think of the, of course, accomplishments that many of us have celebrated this year, and that sense of completion and looking forward to the future that happens when you graduate. But also, there's words to a hymn underneath that piece, and that hymn was composed by someone who actually heard Pomp and Circumstance and thought there need to be words to that. And so he wrote these words based on Revelation about the ultimate graduation, right? Graduation into heaven, and how the gospel draws people together from every tribe, people, and nation and gathers them into the presence of God himself. And they were not able to use that hymn in the hymn book because Elgar's music was under copyright, so somebody wrote a different tune for it. But you can still sing in your mind. You can hum these words along with Pomp and Circumstance. Then we have a wonderful little peaceful aria on Psalm 121 by another Dutch composer. That is classically kind of known as the Traveler's Psalm. Speaks about how we can have confidence when we are going out and coming in because we know that God takes care of us. Lovely, lovely piece there. And then, again, closing out a year, it's a time for reflection, sometimes a time for sorrow, sometimes a time for uncertainty, but also a time of great celebration. And so this finale is the last movement of a famous organ symphony by the French composer Louis Vierne. It is quite a race. I have a verse down there about running the race with endurance, and this piece is quite a race, so I'll be nice and tired by that point. And then the very last piece, as I mentioned, by Klaas-Jan Mulder. There's no sheet music for this piece, but there was a recording that he made of it, and I've listened to that recording probably 100 times. I love it so much. It's on a beloved hymn. I deliberately did not put the text of that hymn down for you because I want you to be surprised when you hear it. Okay. He begins this improvisation in such a way that you sort of say, where is this going? And then when that hymn comes in, it sort of fills you with hope and joy, and it builds to a great climax. So that's all I have to say. There are CDs, once again, maybe those of you who were here last year, maybe you already have one, maybe you lost yours, right? Maybe you need one. And I was hoping I'd have volume 2 for you by now, but that has not yet materialized. So, please enjoy the music. I hope that you find something that is inspiring, helpful, and enjoyable. Thanks. thank you all so much for being here tonight. This has been a lot of fun. And I wish you all the best at the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026. So that'll be near to everyone. Thank you all so much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.